Welcome to today's lesson. We're going to learn English through the famous story of Cinderella. In this lesson, we will learning new vocabulary from the story, understanding key grammar rules, practicing sentence structure with fun exercises. Let's get started.
Let me take you back to a time long ago, in a peaceful little village nestled at the edge of a forest. It was a place where the sun always seemed to shine just a little bit brighter, and everyone knew everyone else's name. But there was one young girl who lived there that everyone whispered about. Her name was Cinderella. Now, this wasn't the Cinderella you might imagine. No, she wasn't living in some grand castle or even a fancy town. No, she lived in a small stone cottage with ivy crawling up the walls. The cottage was charming, but inside things weren't quite as lovely. You see, after her dear mother passed away, her father remarried a woman with 2 daughters. At first, everything seemed fine. Her stepmother and stepsisters smiled sweetly at Cinderella's father, and they pretended to be kind to her. But after her father died, well, that's when everything changed. Cinderella, her stepmother would call, early in the morning before the sun even rose. Come clean the hearth. Cinderella, barely awake, would rub her eyes and head straight to the kitchen to scrub the ashes from the fireplace. Her stepsisters were no better. Cinderella, iron my dress, one would shout. Cinderella, polish my shoes, the other would demand, tossing her muddy boots at her feet. The poor girl never had a moment to herself, always doing chores from dawn till dusk. Her clothes became tattered, and she was always covered in soot, which is how she earned the name Cinderella. Now one day, a grand announcement spread through the village like wildfire. The king's son, the prince, was hosting a ball at the castle. Everyone was invited, and the prince was hoping to find someone special. Cinderella's stepsisters squealed with excitement. "We're going to the ball," they chanted. "Mother, we need new dresses, new shoes, we must look perfect." Cinderella, overhearing, felt a spark of hope in her heart. She approached her stepmother timidly. "Stepmother, may I go to the ball too?" Her stepmother turned, eyes narrowing. "You? Go to the ball?" she sneered. "In those rags? Look at you." The stepsisters burst out laughing, and her stepmother continued, "If you finish all your chores and somehow find something suitable to wear, then maybe." But of course, the stepmother made sure Cinderella had more chores than she could ever complete in time. The day of the ball arrived, and the stepsisters left with their mother, dressed in their finest gowns, leaving Cinderella behind. Heartbroken, Cinderella ran into the garden and cried. But just as her tears began to fall onto the earth, something magical happened. A soft, gentle light appeared in the air, and there, standing before her, was a woman with a warm smile and a twinkle in her eye. "My dear, why are you crying?" the woman asked kindly. Cinderella wiped her tears. "I want to go to the ball, but I have nothing to wear and no way to get there." The woman nodded thoughtfully. "Well then, let's fix that. I'm your fairy godmother after all." With a wave of her wand, a pumpkin nearby turned into the most magnificent golden carriage Cinderella had ever seen. The mice in the garden? They transformed into fine horses and her tattered clothes. In a swirl of sparkling light, they became a stunning gown, glittering like the stars, with glass slippers that shimmered like moonlight. "Now, off you go to the ball," the fairy godmother said. "But remember, my dear, this magic will only last until midnight. After that, everything will return to what it was." Cinderella nodded, her heart racing with excitement. "Thank you, fairy godmother. I won't forget." She climbed into the carriage, and off she went to the ball. When she arrived at the castle, the guests all turned to look at her, but no one recognized her. Even her own stepsisters didn't know it was Cinderella. The prince, captivated by her beauty and grace, asked her to dance, and they spent the entire evening together, laughing and talking as if they'd known each other their whole lives. But then the clock began to chime. Dong, dong. "Oh no, it's almost midnight," Cinderella gasped, pulling away from the prince. "Wait," he called after her. "I don't even know your name." But Cinderella didn't have time to explain. She ran down the grand staircase, her glass slipper slipping off her foot as she hurried to her carriage. She didn't stop to pick it up. She had to get away before the magic disappeared. And sure enough, as soon as the clock struck 12, Cinderella's beautiful gown turned back into rags, and the carriage became a pumpkin once more. She was back to being her old, soot-covered self. The next day, the entire kingdom was buzzing. The prince had found the glass slipper, and he was determined to find the mysterious girl who had worn it. He went door to door, trying the slipper on every maiden in the land. When he arrived at Cinderella's house, her stepsisters eagerly tried to fit their feet into the delicate shoe, but no matter how hard they tried, it just wouldn't fit. Finally, Cinderella stepped forward. Her stepmother and stepsisters scoffed, but the prince, noticing her quiet grace, asked her to try. And wouldn't you know it? The slipper fit perfectly. "You're the one," the prince said, smiling. "You're the girl from the ball." And so, Cinderella went to the palace, and she and the prince lived happily ever after.
Section 1. Vocabulary. In this section, we'll focus on 10 important words from Cinderella. Pay attention to each word's type, noun, verb, adjective, transcription, phonetic spelling, meaning, and example sentence.
Stepmother. Stepmother. Meaning: the woman who is married to your father but is not your biological mother. Example: Cinderella's stepmother was very unkind to her. Ball. Ball. Meaning: a large formal event where people dance. Example: the prince invited everyone to the royal ball. Fairy. Fairy. Meaning: a small imaginary creature with magical powers. Example: the fairy godmother helped Cinderella. Chores. Chores. Meaning: small jobs around the house, such as cleaning or cooking. Example: Cinderella had to do all the chores in the house. Coach. Coach. Meaning: a large, covered vehicle pulled by horses, used in the past. Example: the pumpkin turned into a beautiful coach. Slipper. Slipper. Meaning: a comfortable, light shoe that is easy to slip on and off. Example: Cinderella lost her glass slipper at the ball. Midnight. Midnight. Meaning: 12 o'clock at night. Example: the spell would break at midnight. Prince. Prince. Meaning: the son of a king or queen. Example: the prince danced with Cinderella all night. Spell. Spell. Meaning: words that are supposed to have magical powers. Example: the fairy godmother used a spell to help Cinderella. Kingdom. Kingdom. Meaning: a country ruled by a king or queen. Example: the prince searched the entire kingdom for Cinderella.
Exercise 1. Vocabulary quiz. Match the word with its correct meaning. Exercise 2. Vocabulary sentence fill-in. Section 2. Grammar past simple tense. In storytelling, we often use the past simple tense to talk about actions that happened in the past. Let's review how it works. Past simple structure: positive, subject verb, past form object. Example: Cinderella danced at the ball. Negative, subject did not verb base form object. Example: Cinderella did not stay past midnight. Question: did subject verb base form object. Example: did Cinderella dance with the prince? Exercise 3. Grammar practice. A. Fill in the blanks with the correct form of the verb, past simple. B. Make questions from the following statements. Section 3. Sentence structure. Now let's practice creating full sentences using vocabulary and past simple grammar. Example: vocabulary word: slipper. Past simple verb: lost. Sentence: Cinderella lost her glass slipper at the ball. Exercise 4. Sentence creation. Create sentences using the following words and verbs: coach, turned. 2. Fairy, helped. 3. Prince, found. 4. Stepmother, made. 5. Midnight came. Section 4. Reading comprehension. Now that we've gone through vocabulary and grammar, let's check your understanding of the story. Answer the questions below. Exercise 5. Multiple choice questions. 1. What did the fairy godmother turn into a coach? A. A cat. B. A pumpkin. C. A horse. 2. Why did Cinderella have to leave the ball early? A. She was tired. B. The spell would break at midnight. C. The prince asked her to leave. 3. What did Cinderella lose at the ball?
A. Her necklace. B. Her slipper. C. Her dress. 4. How did the prince find Cinderella? A. By searching the kingdom with the slipper. B. By asking the fairy godmother. C. By visiting every house. Section 5's Pronunciation Practice. Now that you've learned new vocabulary, let's practice saying the words correctly. Listen and repeat after me.
Stepmother, ball, fairy, chores, coach, slipper, midnight, prince, spell, kingdom.
Half final challenge, retell the story. For the final activity, try retelling the story of Cinderella using the vocabulary and grammar you've learned. You can summarize it or add more details, but remember to use the past simple tense. Conclusion. Great job! You've completed today's lesson. We've covered new vocabulary, practiced past simple tense, and learned to retell the story of Cinderella. Keep practicing and soon you'll be telling your own stories in English fluently.